Um, Today I need to discuss the availability of negotiated trade in the delivery of formatted discovery. Oh, for those of you who don't understand this, I have oh God, what can I tell you? I have an ICOJ opinion, right? Uh, and that means they want my opinion on matters, being of high station in Global Network and in Blood Lineage. The forgotten purpose of my mission here, it has everything to do with something that I had posted earlier, and everybody wanted me to toss it aside and go for a Venus like my mother. And I simply say, well, I don't know how, and it doesn't interest me because I'm not one who practices, I have autism sometimes, who practices the art of love deception. And that's what is taught for the women often is love deception. That means make me feel like I'm the greatest, wonderful, most number one person, and we'll do our thing, and then that's it. And to me, if it's not genuine, I don't want it. And if it's not genuine, I don't bring it forth. And I know that that's tough on some people, right? It might be. And I've gotten so much abuse and so much hatred against me in my 50 years of work that Christ says just go and decide whom to love. And I know that what he means is that we as how do I put this? Force of effort in the family have our own plan, and I know that whether or not we decide, it's up to man's decision to live or die. And what that basically means in quantum, since I'm a quantum physics primary competitor in the world, is the rights of man in the conscience of God. You have to understand that the speed of light in your quantum matrix quadrant has everything to do with the speed of thought, has everything to do with the death particulates in that territory. And what that means is that when you shoot a ray of light through an area in space, it bounces off of particulates. If that particulate doesn't take in the light like a diamond or a ruby and make a spectrum, which means throw off in many directions opportunities for that light to engage in many different things, that means it works with God, it works with the light, it works with the universe with a purpose. But if that laser touches something like iron or ore or something, and it doesn't relate well with the light, and it's not considered as having a value because it's not utilized. If it's considered a waste particulate, that waste particulate always can lead to death. So the laser will destroy it. Now, that as it happens and continues and goes around and round and round in that matrix or in that quadrant, the faster it goes because it's cleaning up the area. Now, once you so get it to going and going and going and going and going and going and going, that's called the speed of light. Now, if you have a quadrant with many different cells in many different territories of purity or clutter in a cell, that cell, the values change within each cell because one is clean and one isn't. And the purpose of the terrain is to have perfection equation going up the matrix and across the matrix and diagonally, and that's perfection. So in the efforts of speed of light engagement, God has to move forward for the sake of his being. And if mankind is dwelling in a death particulate, meaning sin, which is an inequation in the brain, means it's falsehood, means it's illiteracies in sex. That means fertility is bad. That means a relationship is harmful. It means disrespect to one's own self, disrespect to the purpose of God, and it also means to harm. That equation isn't correct. Equation in the brain is thriving on chaos, and the chaos is inequation, which means a lie. And if your brain is thriving on lies and your heart is responding to that and loves the lie, then you will be left behind because we're dragging you and your light isn't keeping up with the rest of humanity, which means you choose to slow down and pass. And that means no more life force because everybody has to keep up. And that's why people are shoved in lower station. And that's because their choice brings on harmfulness to not just themselves, but to their children, to their friends, and their ways are bad equation. And that means illiteracy. And is it taught this way? It's wrongfully shoved in society's face in many different areas. And it's done in industries that have to do what they call a peace effort, and being with the Peace Coalition, I'm right there. I believe, I'm not talking about God, because God's very, very, very strict on, he so despises mankind, and he so doesn't want to deal with you. I had to send his sons because he's so sick of you. And I'm down here and I'm thinking, well, I understand. Yeah, because I can only have so many rocks thrown at my through my window because I'm here to help. And I'm here to help, and I can only be set on fire so many times. And then I have to leave. And so, where'd you leave? Oh, I don't understand. We were just getting out. I don't know. But, it's so true, isn't it? It is. It's so very true. So, but she's ours. You haven't spoken to her in 30 or 40 years. And I have to give you all equal rights. No, I don't. Because I come forth and I have to say, okay, well, we have to give everybody opportunity. And if they choose not to, then they can't claim libelous case law because they didn't get an opportunity to go fly high. And that's because you chose not to, and you chose a different path, and therefore it's called free range litigation, and that means it means that we are free and out of range of litigation. And I'm knocking on people's doors for 15 years, and I got to say, I care, and I do, and I care, and I do, and that's what I'm getting back to, is God despises mankind. And I say, understand, and I say, but I believe, and I care about the human, and I care about the human. And they say, well, we'll get reborn. I'm going to say, you won't. Your soul might, but guess what? Your psyche stays and melts. And so it doesn't matter because you're not coming back. If your psyche made the decision to love chaos, then your psyche will continue to suffer, and your soul might go out and have a really good time. And I'll say, oh, good, I get to recreate somebody, right? Yeah, I say that because I'm part of the divinity family, and we're supposed to help teach, and that's what I'm supposed to do, is help teach, and that's part of creation. And so I'm going to say, but that psyche of yours is stuck, and you're going to forever know that you're stuck, and your soul is going to have a whole new life. But guess what? You're not going to be there in the brain. It goes and it does something called quantum related mathematics. It's math-matter composition, and that has to do with, we take your energy rights, because the brain is comes from a different area than the soul. The brain has to do with matter, and the brain has to do with its relationship with light in the territory, in the matrix that is beneficial to your family. So let's say a royal family has a lineage to crystal, or to diamond in the matter purpose of the universe, and that matter is energized when the light hits. Then that energy correlates with the neighboring other particulates there, also correlating with the light and each other, and that's called quantum physics, the relationship between the energies and forces in the universe. And those are called relationships, depending on how that mathematical equation relates with one another. And that's how stuff goes. Now, when that matter can harness the light and equate on its own and make motion, that's the first thought right there, born in the universe. And so we'll give that to you later, but guess what? You're going to be over here forever thinking, oh, I shouldn't have done that. We say, we can get rid of your brain. We'll keep it sober. We're going to get rid of your brain. And you don't get another chance to. You don't. You never do. But the next person does. Because there's lots of vast particulates in the universe. What I'm trying to tell you is, to sit idle is worse than a sin. To sit idle is worse than a sin, because you wait for everybody else to drag your hiney along, and that means you slow the group down. And that's why I can't stand sitting here and not being able to go to work. And my choice was to do something, humanitarian efforts on a holy level. and to not even put on a dress like my mother. And I haven't done my hair in a decade. Everybody knows I don't do my nails. I'm just one of those people. You know who I always say I am? If you've ever seen the movie Mighty Joe Young, I'm not the gorgeous blonde daughter. I'm the mother that's sister. Yeah, the Linda Pearl thing. I'm watching the gorillas, and I would say that all the time. It's like I'm watching the gorillas, but my gorillas happen to be cartel in Mexico. Only gorillas I had in my midst. But do I know them? I certainly do. And the other question is on the question of love, and I'm going to tell you, I've been kicked around so many times that love happens to be a doggy bag sitting in my refrigerator, and I can't decide if I'm going to eat it today, freeze it, make a soup later, or just feed it to the fucking dog. I just don't know. Do I love men? I do. I think they're gorgeous, they're wonderful, and they're full of tricks. I think they are beautiful and dangerous, and they're wonderful if they participate in the furtherance of missions, and they're horrible if they want to pull you away from that. And as far as the love and the sex and all that stuff, that is a private celebration of life and relationship between two people. Does it have to be marriage? I've had 5 of those. I've given your people, woo, and it's all been a military assignment, and I've had to do investigations. I'm like, please don't make me do that again, because if I'm with somebody, I care about them enough not to have to investigate them. So the whole native thing seems good, which means have a relationship for as long as you can, and then not. But then again, I think that whole ownership thing comes into play, and I have a hard time with all that, don't I do? Um, I think enough on me in relationship. I wanted to put that out there because I know that people are interested in the quantum part of my presentation, and I don't get to utilize it enough, and I'm supposed to try to get the information out there, and I'm putting it out here, and it's a risk because NASA doesn't get it first, do they? They don't, and I'm so doing something. I'm not bartering. I'm saying, get me out of here, get me out of here, get me out of here, or I'll keep doing it. And that's why I get myself out of trouble, isn't it? It is, because it moves people. Have a good day.